Hello, my name is Micah McCaw.
My name is Jordan McCaw.
We have been married for 2.5 years, and you
True.
are listening to our podcast, the
McCaw
Macaw Podcast
Podcast
Universe.
Universe.
And this is a podcast where we take franchises, we dive in deep, we analyze those franchises, we talk about who's in them, how it was produced, how it was made.
If a good movie should stay in the franchise or if it should have been taken out.
We even sometimes think of little pitches on how to fix little things that maybe would have made the series better. We've covered Marvel. We've covered Mad Max. We've covered Shrek, Twilight, Harry Potter, Toy Story, and now today we cover May the Series Be Ever in Your Favor, which is going to be our series title for it, The Hunger Games, based on the young adult novels, but we'll be covering the movies.
Who wrote them?
Suzanne Collins, which I'm going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive to set the stage for this whole thing.
Okay.
Another thing to mention, if you're new to the podcast, and we hope you are either new or old and not exclusive of those two things, because that's impossible, we have been doing an overarching look at young adult novels that were transposed into movies, in a movie series, and then how those series split the last book into two movies. And we talked about Harry Potter. You can listen to all those episodes if you'd like. Just scroll back on the timeline. And then kind of how that influenced Twilight, and then how Twilight then influences Hunger Games. And then there is another one coming, but we have to figure some stuff out first before we do that one. So that is setting the stage. Anything you want to add to all of that?
No. Should we talk about our experience with this franchise?
Yes, we should.
You go first.
So I saw this movie maybe like 2 years after it came out, because I remember the trailers for Catching Fire were actually pretty cool. And I was
so you thought maybe you'd want to jump in?
Yeah, but I think the movie was in theaters or had already come out, and I was like,
That is
maybe
the one I've seen. Is that the third one?
Catching Fire is the second movie.
Oh, maybe not.
And so I was kind of like, maybe I can jump into the franchise. But I watched the first one, and I remember liking it, but not thinking much of it. And I was kind of like, yeah, that was a okay movie. And if I see the other movie, I'll see it. And I never did. So last night was the second time I've ever seen anything from this series.
Yeah. I would say mine's pretty similar. I know I had seen the first one. I'm pretty sure I've seen the third one too, but I did not read the books. So like, I don't really know where the other one I saw falls into the story plot. Based on how the first one went, I do think it's the third one, because I definitely have not seen the last one.
Okay.
But these books were really popular when we were in high school.
Yeah.
I remember everyone reading it, and I kind of feel like I just was like, I think I might have been reading Harry Potter at the time for the first time, and I just didn't care about anything else. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I selectively chose to miss this series.
Okay.
That's how it feels. At the time, being in high school, it is definitely possible that I was being a little contrarian about it.
Yeah.
Too, even though I had no idea what this was.
Yeah.
I do remember being a little fascinated, like, dystopian. That's going to be, like, knowing that was going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
Because it definitely has become a big thing since then.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, so, like, I have no attachment at all to the series. At all. And I'm pretty sure I saw the first movie when I was in college. And it could even have been a situation where someone's like, "You've never seen Hunger Games?
Yeah.
Let's watch it." And then I think I saw the third one because it had just come out on like DVD or something.
Oh, okay.
Something like one of my friends was really into the series. So we watched it. But I was so lost. So that is pretty much my experience with it.
Okay.
So this is my second time also seeing this movie.
So this is probably the first series that we're covering that neither one of us are really familiar with.
Definitely.
Because I
didn't even know the author's name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has she written anything else?
So I want to dive in on this.
I remember finding out that she was married to someone famous.
Uh-huh.
and being really bummed about it.
And would you like to explain why?
Because finding out that she had connections to get her book published. And I definitely found that out during a time when I was seriously like choosing the path of being a writer and like wanting to be published.
You still are?
No, I'm saying it was like earlier on.
Oh, okay.
And the time that I made that decision.
Are you telling me you changed your dream here?
No. It's like earlier on in that decision that I've made. So finding out that this woman, I believe, is married to like a producer. She was married to someone in some kind of famous industry. That, and I hope I'm wrong. It could even be possible that I'm wrong. But once I found that out, I was just like pretty bummed.
Yeah.
Because it's not as inspiring to me. Because you will probably know more about this because you did research. But like, this is a woman who seemingly was not known in terms of books.
Yeah.
Like this was the first. I could be wrong about that.
You're wrong.
Okay.
You are wrong.
Cool.
Yeah.
But I
also her spouse doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
Okay,
so
but I think he was something.
When I looked him up, he had like a credit on like unsolved mysteries or something. Like maybe I don't think he had anything.
Cool. So that memory. Well, the memory is true, but
yeah,
it hopefully stemmed from a time in my life where I like blew things out of proportion.
Yeah, it looks like she doesn't have any connections to the career through her parents or who she was married to. So maybe you got her mixed up with someone else.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, there's nothing there.
Okay.
As far as I
What did she do though? What did she do before this?
So,
because that could be what I'm thinking about.
Well, I think I actually thought that you would think this is pretty cool, actually.
Well, today I might. Back when I was like 18, probably could have been bummed about it.
So she's always been a writer, as far as I can tell.
Cool.
So she worked on some Nickelodeon kids shows as a writer.
Cool.
Like educational type shows. She was the head writer for Clifford's Puppy Days television show. I think that's pretty cool. She wrote her first fantasy series. And I think if you're a kid, this sounds awesome to me. So she wrote this fantasy series, and it's not nearly as popular as Hunger Games, but it's pretty popular. And it's about this character named...
What's it called?
One second. It's called... Well, I'll have to look it up. I didn't actually write down what it is called. But she wrote this fantasy series, and it's about this character named Gregor, and he falls down. It's like kind of a spin on Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
And he like falls down into the subterranean underland of New York City.
Cool.
And it's like a series about that.
That sounds fun.
And then she wrote a rhyming picture book, and then she wrote the first Hunger Games in 2008.
Was that other series a children's series or young adult?
The Gregor Underland was
so this is her first young adult thing.
Yeah. I think it's probably like that was like maybe more like middle school geared, it looked like.
Nice.
And I guess it has like a lot of fans, but it's not to the level of Hunger Games, you
more
know?
cult following maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
sure whatever I read back then as a young, naive, dumb person was like I fixated on something and it was like wrote it off.
Yeah.
You know? And ever since then I've never paid attention to anything else.
When I was reading that, I was like, oh, this is cool. She wrote like kids stories, and then she wrote like another kids stories, and it got popular. Like it looks like she just did her thing. So now I'll jump into the movie. It's directed by Gary Ross, who directed Pleasantville, Seabiscuit.
You've seen Pleasantville?
No, I don't even know what that is.
That's the one with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Oh, is that's the movie where it's like half in black and white or something like that?
Let me confirm, but
I believe you're right. I don't know anything about that movie except for like a shot I saw on CGI artists react on
William
Corridor
H.
Crew.
Macy's in it.
Oh.
And Jeff Daniels.
Oh. So it's a good movie?
For my memory, it's great.
Okay.
Very cool. And so it's like two 1990s teenage siblings find themselves in a 1950s sitcom where their influence begins to profoundly change that complacent world.
Oh, that sounds very cool.
Yeah. I remember it being really awesome.
Well, anyway, he directed that. He wrote Big, the Tom Hanks movie. He directed Seabiscuit, Free State of Jones, which was that recent slave movie with Matthew McConaughey. And then the last thing he directed was Ocean's 8.
So I would say they got a pretty big director for this movie
Yeah.
as opposed to Twilight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But that one was cool because they finally had a woman direct something.
No, absolutely. It's just
Yeah.
they got someone who's been around the block
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And what's really, I guess I'll save that for later. There's a very interesting fact about this movie. A really, really famous director did like second unit directing on this movie.
Why?
We'll get to it. I'm just going to string along here. So it's produced by Nina Jacobson, who produced Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Dolphin Tale, Crazy Rich Asians, The Goldfinch, and all the Hunger Game movies. John Killick, who produced Inside Man, Diving Bell and the Butterfly, Foxcatcher, and Gary Ross, amongst others. Both of them have done more. Those are just some highlights. The screenplay is by Suzanne Collins,
Okay.
Gary Ross, and Billy Ray. And Billy Ray is wildly different movies, all these that I'm going to say. Some good, some horrible.
He wrote them.
Yeah, so he wrote Richard Jewell.
Okay.
Good movie.
Yeah.
Terminator Dark Fate, as far as we know, bad movie. Gemini Man, a movie that a lot of people think sucked, but is pretty fun and a good movie. Overlord, the zombie movie.
Yeah.
Captain Phillips. And
I never saw that movie, did you?
yeah, it was a good movie. I'm the captain now. And State of Play, amongst others. And then once again, another composer that we've covered before, James Newton Howard. He's the Fantastic Beast guy,
Yeah.
amongst many, many other things. Cinematography, we got Tom Stern, who did The Meg, American Sniper, Jersey Boys, Gran Torino, Mystic River.
So he's a Clint Eastwood guy.
Most of Clint Eastwood's movies have been shot by him. And then production is Color Force, which is Nina Jacobson, who I mentioned earlier. And this movie is distributed by Lionsgate Films.
So here's a question about
Yeah.
producing. So that lady is an executive producer of this movie.
Yeah.
How
I think
come
she's
she-
just a producer, not executive.
Okay, but
producer.
why does she get her name and her production company?
I don't know how that breaks down because we
Okay.
had the same thing in the new Spider-Man movies. They're produced by Amy Pascal, who is like,
Yeah.
well, I guess she works at Sony, but it's like Sony produces them and she gets a producing credit.
Is that something you just lobby for?
Probably.
It's got to be. I wonder if it's like, yes, I'm producing it. Like my name is on the checks that I'm writing in a way.
Yeah.
But it's with the business that I have.
Yeah. Oh, you know what it is? I'm thinking of David Heyman
Yeah.
from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And watching the interviews and stuff, he was like in Harry Potter.
Oh,
so it's
that
like
makes sense.
his company, I forget what his company's called.
Yeah.
But it's like they produced it, but he was like the guy that they asked the questions. He
That makes
okays
sense.
everything. Yeah.
So it's not just his production company wrote them a check for $10 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
like
sense.
they're hands on,
Yeah.
or at least a lot of them are.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad we figured that out. So the movie's distributed by Lionsgate, which is also our previous franchise was distributed by Lionsgate. I can't remember if all of them were, but at least a couple of them were.
Okay.
The movie comes out March 12th, 2012. Kind of an odd time to release a movie. That's not always a great time, March. But then we have a budget
I
of...
wonder if that was around spring break.
Oh, it probably
'Cause
was.
at least they were getting that. And
Yeah.
maybe it was a tricky year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 2012 was a crazy year.
Yeah.
Um,
And it is interesting though. I wonder what the blockbusters were that year.
yeah, I know we have Dark Knight Rises
That was a summer movie.
and Avengers.
Oh, it's smart that they did March.
Yeah.
Because that probably played until the beginning of the summer.
Yeah. I'm so confused at like looking back at the years of movies because I don't remember Avengers and Dark Knight Rises coming out in the
No.
same year.
No.
I don't like.
But
I
what
don't.
month? Because I think that
Well, Dark
would
Knight
make
Rises was. I think Avengers was May.
before.
I think Avengers was May, maybe June.
Because think about it this way. We probably don't think about it that way because we saw Avengers whenever it came out.
Yeah.
And then by the time we were done talking about it or thinking about it, The Dark Knight came out. And when that movie came out, we forgot about everything else.
Yeah.
Because that movie is not defined by a year.
Yeah.
It's defined by the movie.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's just so I feel like this happens all the time on on this where we're doing something and I'm like, wait, Iron Man is 2008?
Well, it's hard to remember who wins Best Picture.
Yeah. Because half the time it's not the best movie of the year.
But we'll never forget Parasite.
No, we will not. So budget of the movie, $78 million. The movie makes domestically $408,010,692. And worldwide, it makes $694,394,724. Pretty darn good. In March 2009, Lionsgate teams up with Color Force to do a co-production of the movie. Lionsgate hadn't had a profit for 5 years, so they were selling
bad.
So they were selling their assets and reducing other films' budgets so that they could give this movie a good budget. So they were kind of hedging all their bets on this movie.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And then they acquired Summit, and Summit is the Twilight distributed series. So when I was reading through it, there was definitely a thought behind Lionsgate where they're like, Twilight was huge, and it ended in 2011, right?
That or 12.
It was 8, 9. Yeah, they did one every year, so it was like 12, I think, is when it ended. So they're like, this movie's making a ton of money. We can do that. Let's take budgets away from other movies. Let's make this big. Let's really make Hunger Games what we can make it. It's mostly shot in North Carolina, so they got a lot of tax breaks and stuff on that. Mm-hmm. Always interesting when someone shoots not in LA, breaks. New York, or somewhere else in the world.
So like Atlanta. 80%.
Oh yeah, Atlanta. I forgot that's the new boom as well.
Yeah.
And then there was some online controversy about this movie. And this is not super great. I bring this up because it feels kind of tame compared to where we're at now with online movies and like the Reddit community and stuff.
Yeah.
But this is someone from The Garden said this. Ada Wunmi, The Guardian, remarked that in the movie they changed this character Ada Wunmi, I don't know how to pronounce it, to a black person instead of white.
Who is
in
this
the book.
Person?
One of the characters. I think it was
one of the contestants.
Yeah, okay. One of the kids. And so people were like, you can't do that. You can't change the race of a character. And so in The Guardian, they remarked, it comes to this. If the casting of Rue, Thresh, and Cinna has left you bewildered and upset. Okay, so it's those three characters. Sorry.
Yeah.
Has left you bewildered and upset. Consider two things. One, you may be a racist. Congratulations. Two, you definitely lack basic reading comprehension. Sorry,
it sounded like there was going to be a third thing.
Well, there was that. No, there was like something I put in there that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, okay. That's fascinating.
So that was a controversy.
Yeah.
And then in the New York Times, they said a few years ago, Miss Lawrence might have looked hungry enough to play Katniss, but now at 21, her seductive womanly figure makes a bad fit for a dystopian fantasy about a people starved into submission, which received some backlash because people were like, you can't hold this woman to this crazy standard. Like that's,
so you're asking her
sexist.
To emaciate herself?
Yeah.
For this?
Yeah,
for a young adult film?
And I did not feel like they needed to do that at all.
She did not feel sexualized to me.
No.
Sure, she had boobs.
No, he's not saying that. He's saying she looks like it's supposed to be dystopian. She should be skinny.
Yeah.
And she doesn't look skinny.
That's insane.
That's so sexist.
That's insane.
Because he would not say that if a man said that.
No.
Was not skinny in a movie. So dumb.
Also, she's pretty skinny.
Yeah, she's fine. She looks great.
She's skinnier than most people.
Yeah,
so,
it's
because she's in shape physically for the role. She obviously trained for this movie.
It's so dumb. Does that just make you mad? Both of those things. It's like, shut up. And I think about that though, where I'm like, that was a controversy. Wait till The Last Jedi comes out. Wikipedia for saying these are controversies. But then we'll end on a more fun note. Let's see if I can find it.
Roger Ebert.
Steven Soderbergh was second unit director, and he filmed a lot of the riots.
Why?
Steven Soderbergh.
Payout?
and Gary Ross are good buddies.
So he was just like, "Hey, dude, you want an easy job?"
I think
Film these
so.
parts of the
I
movie.
think not even easy job. I think he was like, "Hey, do you want to work on this project? It'd be cool to have you. And
I
you
was
can do
gonna
second
guess.
unit directing."
I was gonna guess a director who may be really famous now, but wasn't so famous then, like Ryan Johnson.
Someone
like that.
bolstering their resume.
Yeah.
No, it's Steven Soderbergh, who at the time is. I mean, he's already done like the Ocean's movies and like a ton of movies that are huge. So he did it for fun, I think, like for
That's
experimentation. And thinking about that, and then seeing that Gary Ross directed Ocean's 8, I'm like, oh, this makes a lot of sense that he would take over the
Yes.
franchise at this point. Anyway, we'll get to
Did you
that
not look
someday.
up an Ebert review? Oh wait, when did this movie come out?
2012.
Oh,
I
so
don't
there's probably not one.
I just didn't look. I was like, oh, we don't have to do this every time, is what I thought.
You
So
have been doing it every time for a while.
just on the last two. I guess that has
That's
been a
lot
long
of
time.
movies.
Yeah.
Okay, I will get started.
Okay.
So Jennifer Lawrence plays Katniss Everdeen. Her first credit ever is Monk, which I was talking about a couple days ago with you and Sydney.
Yes, you said she's in like a mascot outfit or
one
something.
of the random episodes of Conan I watched,
Mm-hmm.
she was the guest, and they did the classic late night thing where they were like, "We dug up this role that you
Yeah.
were in that no one knows about." So she was in an episode of Monk, but she was wearing a mascot costume, so no one knows it's her.
That's so
And
weird.
she was like jumping on Monk.
the titular monk.
Yes, she's also in a couple episodes of Medium, Winter's Bone, Like Crazy. She's in X-Men First Class in 2011,
Oh,
which I did not know that. Well, I don't know why I would know that, but I didn't know she was in X-Men before Hunger Games.
yeah. I guess I didn't realize that either.
And she's
Boy.
like Mystique, which is like, from my limited knowledge of X-Men, a big deal.
Yeah, she's a big character.
Yeah.
She just a side note, if anyone's listening and wondering, hate the new X-Men movie so much, and
So probably 2011 on.
yeah, she's in all the ones from that on, but I only actually saw First Class, and I was like laughing during the movie. It was really bad.
She's in that movie called The Beaver with Mel Gibson.
Oh, and Jodie Foster.
Yeah. So was Anton Yelchin.
Wow. Remember Grayson Chloe said that was a very weird movie.
I mean, hold on. A troubled husband and an executive adopts a beaver hand puppet as his sole means of communication. That's not a weird movie.
Wait, can
Is
you
that a Charlie Kaufman movie?
can you look up the tagline? If there's any taglines to the movie, you can scroll to the bottom, because I'm sure it's got a couple of great taglines.
He's here to save Walter's life.
Oh,
Not
that's
that weird.
I
Okay.
thought it would be something like
This is interesting.
he had a damn hard life or something funny like
No.
that.
Oh, I get it. Okay, so Hunger Games is in 2012. What's
Okay.
the next role for her? You're not going to guess.
American Hustle?
No, but pretty good guess. Silver Linings Playbook.
Oh, you didn't give me much
I
time.
thought that movie came out like 2016.
Yeah, that
That's
tracks for me.
2012.
That tracks for me.
This is a busy year for her. Hunger Games, Silver Linings Playbook, and House at the End of the Street,
what is that?
which is a thriller.
Oh, okay.
And then throughout, okay, so it's worth going through because she's a pretty big deal.
Oh, yeah. I want to.
So then 2013 is when the next one comes out, next Hunger Games movie.
Yeah, Catching Fire.
Same year as American Hustle.
Okay.
So it's like David O. Russell, you're my guy, potentially.
Yeah.
Well, no, definitely because she's in Joy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
he's-
but so that was 2013. And then in 2014, X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
And then she's in Serena,
Yes.
which looked unbelievably boring to me.
Yeah. Another Bradley Cooper movie.
Yes.
We're up to 2 now where they've
Yes.
co-starred.
2015, the third Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And then Joy, which
Another
a movie I couldn't finish.
Yeah.
I was very bored.
They've talked about that a lot in Blank Check,
What do they think?
and they're like, it is just such a slog, is what they say. Like, it's so boring, and they say the only good thing about that movie is Bradley Cooper shows up for like 20 minutes, and he's just electric,
he
and
like a-
almost makes you forget that the movie's bad, is what they said.
Is he like her husband or partner or something?
In real life,
No, in Joy. I just don't
haven't
remember
seen
the
it.
movie. Oh, okay.
I've never seen it.
I just remember the movie.
It had a great trailer, though.
Yeah, no, the movie, like the trailer was great, and then it was like David O. Russell And
Yeah.
it's like he makes really good like character studies of
Yeah.
movies.
Or at least we thought.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, he does because he has American Hustle, which I still think is really good. Silver Linings Playbook, which I still think is really
that's
good.
a good one.
The Fighter is really
Oh,
good.
The Fighter is. I like that movie a lot.
So
That's
he's
his
good.
best, probably.
He's really good. But so this movie, it's like, oh, it's. I mean, with those
Yeah.
three movies in his background, like this is a knockout.
yeah.
It looks like it's about a woman being a woman and the struggle she goes through.
Yeah.
And it was so boring. It was so boring, and I couldn't finish it. Okay, 2016 X-Men Apocalypse, also Passengers.
Yes. Okay. Wait. What year are we in?
2016.
16. Okay. I thought that was like 2017 Passengers.
Oh, I think I've missed. Oh, 2014 was Hunger Games Part 1, and then 2015 was Hunger Games Part 2.
Okay.
I think I skipped that. Okay, but then 2016 Passengers.
Okay.
2017 Mother.
Yes.
And then 2018 Red Sparrow. And then X-Men Dark Phoenix. And then she's got several upcoming projects.
What can you just list anything that she's upcoming?
Let's see.
Because I'm kind of curious to see. Because I think she is in kind of a transitional phase right now.
Yes, I think so too.
Because all those movies after Hunger Games haven't really been that huge. I think Mother was, well, that one was, even when it came out, people were like, some people didn't like it, some people did. And Passengers bombed.
Red Sparrow was not good.
Red Sparrow bombed.
Dark Phoenix,
Oh, that was
bad.
just short of them throwing it out of an interstate and claiming insurance or
Yeah.
something like that.
She's apparently going to be play Zelda Fitzgerald in a movie about Zelda Fitzgerald.
Who is that?
Scott Fitzgerald's wife,
Oh,
who famously had mental issues.
oh, that could be good. Who's directing it?
David Ron Howard.
Okay, so it'll be
It'll
fine.
be good. And then she's in a lot of things I don't know what these are. Untitled Jennifer Lawrence / Amy Schumer project. Wow, her next phase is going really well.
Was there anything else that was notable?
Nothing
'Cause
that I liked.
I'm just wondering if she's working with any like other good directors or anything. If there's anything we should be keeping our
No.
ear to the ground about.
No. Adam McKay.
Oh, what
Don't Look Up.
is
A
that? The
pair of
basketball one?
astronomers try to warn everyone on Earth that a giant meteorite will destroy the planet in 6 months. Comedy. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, it's Adam McKay.
And then another Adam McKay thing about an entrepreneur. That's a biography. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Okay,
It
she'll
is
be fine.
interesting. She's is going through a pretty interesting spot right now.
Yeah,
I
'Cause
hope
they're-
she
they're
makes
for
it
a while.
through. I hope she makes it through because
she'll be fine.
I wonder if what she needs to figure out now is what kind of actress she's going to be.
Uh-huh.
Because Red Sparrow, and I know she's been in X-Men for a lot actually now.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's both action heavy. I know Red Sparrow was more espionage, but like action heavy. Mother, I hope and pray that is short lived.
Yeah.
Because I know that she's been in other, like it seems like another thriller. Don't want it.
Yeah.
Honestly, personally for me. Partly hated that movie
Yeah.
with a burning passion. And I don't want to see her in anything else like it.
Yeah. You're still talking about Mother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay. I'll just stop talking about
I mean,
her.
the cure to every actor and actress when you're in a weird phase, you gotta just ask yourself, what would Robert Pattinson do in a weird phase like this, and then do that.
She should be in a Safdie Brothers movie then?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
What's so funny is, I mean, really, after Uncut Gems, every time that's my number one pick for any actor or actress I like, I'm like, well, the next thing they should do is a Safdie Brothers movie.
They're still young bucks. You can still get in with them probably.
But I mean, I could see her just continuing to do the drama thing for a really long time.
I would be fine with the drama.
Yeah, I mean,
I think she's great.
I think she's a fantastic actress, so I'm not worried about her. It's just there was that moment where it was like she is everything that people talked about, and
Yes.
she's so like she is hot now, and I mean
she
that
won an Oscar for Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah.
That's what it was. We
Yeah.
couldn't remember. But she is nominated for American Hustle, and she was also nominated in Joy.
yeah,
So maybe cling to David O. Russell for a little bit
No,
longer.
do other stuff. Do other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was just like everything that was hot to talk about, and so that's
Yeah,
cool.
it will be
So,
interesting to see her work with Adam McKay.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
love
I
to
just
see
want to
that.
see her work with other directors.
And honestly, I mean, not that I'm an Amy Schumer fan or anything, but her maybe getting into comedy, that could be interesting.
I have seen from very few interviews that I've seen of her, she seems very fun.
Yeah.
So I think she would work very well in a comedy.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's
Cool.
keep this train rolling.
Yeah.
So we have Josh Hutcherson,
Yeah.
who plays Pita, like the bread. He is from Bridge to Terabithia.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Loved that movie as a kid. He has been around the frickin' block. He's been in a lot of TV throughout his childhood. He is in Howl's Moving Castle. I remember, I think he plays the boy,
Okay.
the little kid. He's in Kicking and Screaming. That's right.
Really?
He's Robert Duvall's son, Will Ferrell's half-brother.
Been a long time. Can't remember that, but yeah.
I hope it's
a good
still
one.
funny. He's also in RV.
Oh, I remember watching that movie at Jake Miller's house and him being like, this is a really funny movie, and I did not like it.
Isn't yeah, Cheryl from Curb, isn't it? Okay. Also, he is in Journey to the Center of the Earth with The Rock, right?
Yes.
No. Brendan Fraser.
Right.
What's the one with The Rock?
It wasn't that, or that was Race to Witch Mountain.
That's what it was. Which has the kid. Hold on. I need two phones right now to look this up. I'm going to look that up next. Can you actually look up the Race to Witch Mountain?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay.
I'm on it.
He is also in. Let's see. He's in the movie Epic, which was an animated movie. He's in Escobar, the movie about Pablo Escobar that stars Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, the other kid from Hunger Games.
Yeah, right? Am I right?
Yeah, the bully.
But before he got big,
Alexander Ludwig.
he's still normal size, right?
I think so. I mean, I don't. Okay. Let me look. Oh yeah. He just looks like a normal kid.
I thought so.
I mean, Dwayne the Rock Johnson also has a head of hair.
So, funny story that I think Micah knows about. So, the
Uh-huh.
kid who he's talking about is the big blonde kid in Hunger Games who's like the bully during the games.
Yeah.
That kid is in Sandlot 3, a movie in which, when rented from Blockbuster by the Martinez family, was watched at least 7 times by Jordan in the single renting time.
That's insane.
Because
Do you know how long it was? Was it a week or like a 2-day rental or?
no, it wasn't a 2 day. Sandlot 3 is a 2-day rental. I don't think so. But the main kid I had a huge crush on, and I was still pretty young that I wasn't willing to admit it. But that's why I watched the movie 7 times.
Oh.
And I also think I had a little crush on that kid too.
Okay. I'm gonna look up this other competition kid.
Okay. Also in 2017, Josh Hutcherson was in The Disaster Artist. He's also in Burn.
Is it Sandlot the Heading Home?
Probably.
Okay.
I want to see a picture.
Is it? No, I don't know.
Let me see it.
Okay, here. He looks like a dweeb. I
Yeah.
could totally take him.
Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
Liam Hemsworth, brother of Chris Hemsworth, former boyfriend of Miley Cyrus. True.
Oh yeah.
Okay. He is in a lot of TV shows at the beginning of his career. He is famously in The Last Song, starring Miley Cyrus, based on a Nicholas Sparks book.
Oh okay.
And so I think it's She Has Cancer. No.
Are we gonna
No,
do
I think
this?
her dad has cancer. And guess who's the dad? Greg Kinnear.
Greg Kinnear.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway, so then it's like rest is history with them until they're not history anymore.
Gosh, that was another thing that people talked about so much.
Yeah. Okay, so he's also in Love and Honor, Empire State, Paranoia, The Dressmaker.
It's getting worse.
He's in an episode of Workaholics.
Oh, okay.
Didn't seem to do much. He's in The Duel. Isn't it romantic, that Rebel Wilson movie?
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of about it.
Okay.
Not as prolific of a career as his brother so far, but he's only...
Who's his brother?
Chris. Okay. He's only like in his very early 30s, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have Stanley...
Wait, wasn't he in Independence Day too? What was that movie called? Independence
come
Day. Insurgent or
Yes, Resurgence.
Resurgence, and he's in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then we have Stanley Tucci, a
Oh.
man that rivals but does not beat Brad Pitt's jaw. He
Okay. Hang on.
Okay.
Stanley Tucci is so good. He is such a phenomenal actor. He is so watchable. Anything he does,
electric.
He is so electric. I just love to see him in movies. And
he plays Herb Kazaz in BoJack.
No way. Are you?
Yeah,
that makes so much
sense.
sense. Oh, he's even cooler, and he is just like in this movie. He's MVP in this movie.
He's great.
You take Stanley Tucci out of this movie, you lose an entire point for me.
Have you ever seen a
ahead.
cover to a movie that looks this funny?
Undercover Blues.
Starring Dennis Quaid. I would,
What?
listener, look up Undercover Blues and just look at that movie poster. Okay, so Stanley Tucci has been around the block. He has been everywhere. I'm trying to find a more relevant title, though. That's not just a bunch of 90s, 80s, 70s
He's in The
stuff.
Terminal,
Literally just got in that movie.
a movie
Who
that
is he in The Terminal?
he is the airplane. He's the like manager of the airport that's trying to get Tom Hanks kicked out. Which
He's in the
folks,
movie Robots.
We love Steven Spielberg in this household. He rules. And we love Tom Hanks, but The Terminal is a very bad movie. It's so misguided and
I
is not
watched
great.
it so young that I didn't care if a movie was good or bad.
Yeah, but even Tucci's still pretty good in it.
He is, which I think a lot of people know him from, The Devil Wears Prada. Like current day, maybe people our age.
Okay, I'll watch it.
You've never seen that movie?
No.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard it seems like I would
It's a good
really
Meryl
like
Streep
it.
performance.
Yeah.
That's from your wife saying that.
No.
He also was in an episode of Monk. Can you believe it? Do you know who also is in Monk? Do you know who the police chief is in Monk?
No.
The guy in Silence of the Lambs who's killing people.
Oh, it puts the lotion in the basket.
So when I watched Monk, way before I ever saw
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs. So when I saw the movie, one, that guy is a person who needs to have a mustache at all times.
Yeah.
He just has a face that needs a mustache.
Sure.
Second, it was like in the show, he's very funny and he's like the straight
like,
man.
Yeah.
It was not good for me. Okay. He's in Swing Vote. What Just Happened? Space Chimps. The Tale of Despereaux.
Which
Okay, so
Emma
he's in-
Watson is in that movie, The Tale of Despereaux. She's the titular mouse.
Oh, cool. He's in Julie and Julia, another Meryl Streep movie. He's also in The Lovely Bones. That movie, from my memory, is pretty dang good. But it's also really sad.
Okay.
Stars Mark Wahlberg, directed by Peter Jackson. I didn't know that. Susan Sarandon, Saoirse Ronan, Rachel Weisz.
Okay.
And so it's about a girl who goes missing.
Uh-huh.
And she's dead. And so you see her when she's like trying to lead her father, who is Mark Wahlberg, to her body because they can't even find her. And it's really sad because she's like walking home from somewhere, and she takes a shortcut, and this man suddenly appears out of seemingly nowhere, and he's like, "Oh, come down here in my little bunker." He like created this weird bunker underground in a field of nothing.
Yeah.
And he's kind of showing her around and stuff. It's Stanley Tucci. And he kills her. And I heard the book is kind of graphic in terms of rape.
Ooh, okay.
The movie, I've heard, from my memory, pretty good in terms of father-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
And her, I'm sure that her being in, heaven or purgatory, wherever it is that she's in, is so badly animated now.
Yeah.
But if it's Peter Jackson, I think it could be pretty interesting.
I think I haven't seen it, so I can't say, and this doesn't mean this is true, but I think the narrative kind of and critical audience opinion of that movie now is it's like a big wish that Peter Jackson did not adapt that movie.
Interesting. And I did not read the book, so
Yeah.
I can't have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
And when did this movie came out in 2009? I probably saw it in 2009 when I was 14.
Yeah. And you know what, folks? If you come up to me and you go, Micah, what did you think of Lovely Bones? Maybe you give it to me and you have me watch it, and I'll go, I don't know, because if there's not 3 movies in it, I can't make a judgment on a movie.
Yeah.
Because we only talk about franchises on here.
So not only is Stanley Tucci in Space Chimps 1, he's in Space Chimps 2, people. He's also in Easy A. I think he plays the dad really funny in that movie.
Okay.
She played alongside
He's also in
Patricia Clarkson,
Transformers.
who was this lady, and she's freaking hilarious in that movie. You know who she is. She's in so much stuff.
That's the girl that we really didn't like from House of Cards.
Yeah, she's hilarious in the movie.
Oh,
she's
really?
a good actress.
Oh, okay.
She's a good actress.
She was horrible in that.
so funny. Okay, then he's in Captain America because he's the Doctor. We probably covered him, and I'm going through his whole filmography
Who
again.
cares? That's good. But you
He's
didn't mention that he's in Transformers.
Must have just skipped it because
I think he's in 2.
I actively choose not to.
Well, one of these
pay
days
attention to
we're
them.
going to have to choose to. We got to get our bay on, you know?
So that's Stanley Tucci, people. He's also in The Wind Rises. We're
Oh,
done.
cool.
Looks like he's also in the Percy Jackson series. Sorry, guy. Okay. And then Wes Bentley, who plays like the showrunner.
Great name.
Yeah.
Cool name.
Yeah. Sounds like a car to me, though, because
Yeah,
of Bentley.
yeah.
But, okay, so he's in American Beauty. He's in Interstellar.
Oh, yeah.
He's in The Best of Enemies, which came out last year. He's in Mission Impossible, Fallout.
Oh, yeah. Remember, he's married to Ethan Hunt's.
He makes a
old
cameo
wife.
appearance.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's like the best. Like, that's kind of who I see him as. I mean, in American Beauty, he's a main character, but in the other 3, like Hunger Games, Interstellar, and that movie, he just like is a little bit of pepper you put on the salad, and you're like, cool.
He's also
Good
in
job.
Knight of Cups. Don't know what that movie
what a
is.
horrible
no one
movie.
else does.
Horrible movie.
Okay, but yeah, I remember watching American Beauty. That was a movie I watched because it was a quote unquote classic.
Yeah.
And it's weird to see Kevin Spacey do a role that might not be far off from who he is.
Yeah. I watched it and I actually really enjoyed it.
I
mean,
liked it. It
it's
was
not
just
really a
very
movie.
dark.
It's not a movie you enjoy, but I thought it was a
Yes.
good movie.
Who did that movie again?
Sam Mendes.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine ever watching that movie again.
Me neither.
I think I would.
Even though I really do like, so like, and his character's gay, right?
I think so.
And his dad is like in a very abusive to him psychologically. It's Chris Cooper.
yeah.
I remember that storyline being very like, I haven't really seen it like that before
Yeah.
because like his dad was probably gay.
Yeah. And
right?
he was
And,
like
like,
taking it out
closeted.
on his son.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was was his son gay? Didn't he like get with Kevin Spacey's daughter?
I think there's another character that is his son that we forgot about.
Okay.
Either
way, it was a storyline that I have not seen before.
Yeah.
That was like, it was just an interesting illustration of I am mean to you because I am you
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. I wonder if that movie is like really heavy-handed being an adult now instead of being like just like 19 and being like all these movies I've never seen. It might be one of those movies where you watch now and you're like, we get it. Shut up already.
You know, the pretty famous SNL sketch for Will Ferrell based on that movie.
What
With him
sketch?
and Sarah something Gellar from Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
I forget the mom, but they're eating dinner. And they're like,
Oh, that one?
that's like
based on
I'm pretty
American
sure
Beauty?
because I think in American Beauty they're like at the dinner table and it's very
That would make
uncomfortable.
more sense because I've always been like, oh, that's kind of a funny sketch. But I was like, I'm missing something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really playing it up in the sketch, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, Elizabeth Banks plays Effie Trinket, who looks like the costume designers had a lot of fun
Yeah.
with her. She is in Love and Mercy.
Oh,
People,
she's so good in
Watch
that movie.
Love and Mercy.
I believe it's on Hulu.
Okay, I need to watch the movie again. I need a good cry.
It's about the Beach Boys' Brian Wilson.
Has
and
John
it's-
Cusack and Paul Dano.
Yeah,
Both
and they
play
play
Brian
him
Wilson.
in different times of his life, and it's one of the few music biopics that actually gets to the heart of an actual point besides, remember these songs?
About people being exploited.
Yeah, it's so good.
So good. Unfortunately, Elizabeth Banks is the most recent director of Charlie's Angels. But as an actress, she's done a lot of great things.
I like Elizabeth Banks a lot.
I do
She
too.
seems fun too. And she looks
She
like she
does.
has fun in movies.
She is in Wet Hot American Summer.
Yeah.
She's in Pitch Perfect, which I think, and I could be totally wrong about this, but I feel like was a huge resurgence for her.
Oh, okay.
Like, I feel like people really thought she was hilarious in those movies.
Yeah.
Could also be, I haven't like followed her career.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. But she's also in that. She's in movie 43. People Like Us. She's also in 30 Rock and 15 episodes of it. Must have had a
Whoa.
whole season arc. Man on a Ledge.
Oh,
Our Idiot Brother.
Man on a Ledge. What a horrible movie. A movie about a guy who's like gonna jump off of a building, but he's
starring
also
Chris
no. It's Sam
Worthington.
Sam Worthington, yeah. And I think the thing is he like secretly robbed a bank from like greedy corporate people or something. But it's as boring as that premise sounds.
Yeah. She's in Role Models.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
She's in Power
Definitely
Rangers.
Maybe.
Definitely Maybe.
The movie.
Brightburn.
She's in Brightburn.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, she's in all the Spider-Mans.
She's in Slither.
The Sam Raimi Spider-Mans.
She's in a James Gunn movie that we still need to watch.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember. She's Betty Brant in the Spider-Man movies, though, in case anyone's wondering.
Oh, I guess I should do Woody Harrelson. Have we done him?
No, we haven't done Woody Harrelson.
Okay.
This time, you're taking more time than my production
And
notes.
I'm done with it. Woody Harrelson has been around the block. They got some big names for these movies, people. Unlike Twilight, it kind of makes sense that they were taking budgets away from other movies to ensure that this movie did well.
Yeah.
So he is in Natural Born Killers. He's in Cheers, people. He's so famous, he was even in The Simpsons. He's in Kingpin. Hilarious movie with Bill Murray. Really funny movie that you should watch with my dad sometime. It's a big Scott movie.
I'll have to wait till we're allowed to see him again.
Okay. He is also in True Detective Season 1.
Oh,
the
wow.
best season of that show.
Well, it's no question.
Yeah. He's also in Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
You know what? In a blank check, someone mentioned that they might. I think they were talking with their guests, and like the guest and David said that they might like season 3 better than season 1 of True Detective, and I was like, "What?
We were like, you made it through season 3?
You didn't fall asleep?"
Yeah. You didn't get to episode 3 and finally have this awakening of, why are you asking this much for me for a show? You shouldn't be asking me from anything. Or asking me for anything. I'm watching the show. That's enough.
Let's throw this at people since we're here. What the heck? This is just a long ep. The TV right now has become. Actually, I think it's starting to swing back.
Yeah, I think so too.
But like traditionally, TV is like episodic. You tell a story and then
Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
and then it became like, oh, we can tell longer stories over a season. And
Because we released a whole season at once.
No, I'm talking like back then. Like
No, but I know. Oh, I thought you got to the current
before we're
day thing.
talking just episodes, and then it's like we can tell a whole
Yeah.
thing, and then eventually it's like we can do miniseries, or we can do Breaking Bad, one huge long story, or The Sopranos, or whatever, and then eventually it's like with streaming, they're like people can binge shows. So now what we can do is we can tell a 10-hour movie.
Yes.
Instead of 10 episodes. So you watch something, and this actually ruined a lot of TV shows for Jordan and I, because I read an article called TV's Too Damn Long. Well, I think last year, maybe the year before. And it just totally opened my eyes where like there were several shows that we started and we watched the first episode. And if I told you the plot of the show, it would be like, House on Haunted Hill. We watched that first.
Haunting of Hill House.
Haunting of Hill House. We watched that first episode and we were like, what happened in the first episode? We met like 8 different characters. That's it.
Yep.
There was like kind of some spooky stuff, but there was nothing to like actually capture me. But they're like, you're on Netflix, you're going to press. We have it automated to start the next episode in 5 seconds.
Within 5 seconds.
And then with True Detective Season 3, we watched like 3 or 4 episodes and we're like, it is telling this story so methodically and so boring. And it's in 3 different timelines and I can't keep it straight. And we're pretty competent movie and TV watchers. And it's like, no.
It's clear to me that this, what was it, probably 10 episodes?
Yeah, it was a 10-episode season.
It's clear to me that this could have been a 5-episode story.
Oh, yeah.
So clear.
And it was like whenever they introduce a new character, it's like, oh, great. Now I have to learn about this person. Like,
And I don't understand what they were telling. Because,
Yeah.
like, I could even say that in True Detective Season 1,
Yeah.
it was about children being, like, taken advantage of. Of course,
Yeah.
it was also about a man not willing to let go of his failed marriage and daughter.
Yeah.
And then another man who was unfaithful and learning to, struggling with his unfaithfulness.
yeah.
Very, very clear. This one, like season 3, it's like a guy didn't have dementia in this timeline, still doesn't have dementia in this timeline. Okay, this one he does have dementia because he has white hair.
Yeah.
That's like all I know how to like differentiate
Yeah.
that show. And even when it's like these things should have been so interesting. It had like all of the markings to be such an interesting
And
season.
you know, if you're a listener of this show, you know how much I love like detective and noir stuff
And
in movie and TV.
Cinematography was pretty dang good.
Yeah, acting was
They
great.
got wonderful actors for it.
Scoot McNairy
But
was
even
awesome.
remember, because it's like these children go missing.
Yeah,
And so remember when they were like looking through their rooms and stuff and they found the hole in her wall. And it's like,
Yeah.
ew, gross. What was going on?
Yeah.
And they resolved it pretty quickly that nothing was going on.
yeah,
And it was like, why didn't you drag that out for a little bit? Or like
make it significant.
make
'Cause
it
was like,
a rabbit trail about something.
yeah, and it's like, okay, cut that.
Yeah, and
'Cause-
it's like whoever, yeah, they should have just cut it. That should have
Yeah.
been the thing. But if they wanted to make it something more, it's like, okay, something wrong was going on. So they're going to look into that person, and then that's going to blow up a person part of a system of people who have been doing very wrong things for a while.
yeah,
Like in True Detective Season 1 about children. Really awful things happening that went to a government level.
yeah.
But I mean, obviously, we didn't even get very far. But
Well,
it's because they were
the-
asking too much of us.
Yeah, and like as an example of, because yes, you can tell like a longer story, but I would think of Better Call Saul as a really good example
Yes.
of a current show where like when I watch an episode, they do tell a complete 3 to 5 act story that like has ebbs, flows, and everything. And it all serves like a larger story that you could look at the whole season and be like, season 1 is the beginning, episode 4 is like the climax episode. You know, you could tear it apart like that. Breaking Bad was also brilliant at that, where they would actually do something in an episode.
Which something that is so important too in writing.
Succession too. They
Succession
did that
too. Well, that's
so well.
it. Even goes along with that. Give me people I want to care about, or people that I shouldn't be rooting for. But
Yeah.
the thing, like, so with Succession, for example, it's a pretty terrible family, and that's the interesting part. Is this really successful, interesting family?
Yeah.
Like constantly being thrown like problems and trying to fix them, and you through those problems, you start to understand that they are people and they have feelings.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm starting to care about some of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them. Depends on the episode because each episode was a new thing.
Yeah.
And then same with Breaking Bad, Walter White, a good man doing a very bad thing to the point where he became a bad person,
Yeah.
like almost innately a bad person. So True Detective Season 1. We have Matthew McConaughey, who we know is very troubled because his acting is so good.
Yeah.
But then throughout the season, it has developed like he has gone through some S.
Yeah.
And it's very sad. Woody Harrelson also has his weird own selfish struggles. Therefore, I care about him.
Yeah.
Because I want him to overcome his struggles. True Detective Season 3. Mahershala Ali. Don't remember anything about him other than he met his wife at some point
Yeah.
in the first timeline. And then at some point she died.
Yeah.
Maybe she helped. I think she was a writer.
Yeah.
She wrote some crime novels.
Yeah.
I don't know
There's
what...
so many ingredients that
Well,
are good.
I don't know what she did to help him or help the story. Like at no point did she affect...
But-
from my memory... In the first
You
three
probably had to
episodes.
wait till like episode 6 to find out the payoff of something they set
Probably.
up in episode 1.
And then his partner was a dude that was definitely, he was the bad cop.
Yeah.
Because he would hurt people for information. And I don't even remember going into his storyline.
Also,
was
the
all
episodes were like
Mahershala.
an hour and 15 minutes long too.
Yeah.
It's just too long.
Yeah.
Like, get over it.
But that guy, I couldn't even care about him.
Yeah.
When in True Detective Season 1, I cared about Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey so much that I started caring about Woody Harrelson's family.
Yeah.
Because I was understanding and relating to their struggles, if that makes sense.
Let's talk about the movie now.
Okay.
So, Hunger Games. We're an hour into this episode, and now we're going to talk about the movie The Hunger Games. And maybe you're thinking, man, they must not have liked it because they're putting this off till an hour in.
I liked this movie.
I think it's a good movie. It's like
Apparently, we really needed to get some True Detective things off our chest.
I
And we didn't even
guess.
talk about season 2.
well, you never saw it, right?
I know, but we could have, I could have probably still said something
Okay,
about
we're not
it.
going to talk about it. We're not
We're
going to
not
talk
going
about it.
to.
So, we meet our character, Katniss. Quick aside, all the character names in this series are horrible, and I hate the character names. That's not the movie's fault. That's Suzanne Collins' fault. And if she'd like to come at me on that, you can follow me
You know
on
where to
Twitter,
find me.
Suzanne Collins. No, the names are just horrible, and it's insane.
I think
to
they're
me.
just trying to be memorable.
Yeah, and I think they're, like you said, trying to be like
Different,
like
unique.
futuristic. You know, like
Yeah.
in the future they named him Katniss, and it's like, no, now I'm just thinking of a cat. That's dumb. So meet our character, and we see that there is this game that goes on where they have two children from each district, one of each male, one female, and there's 12 districts, and they fight in this like arena kind of thing
To the death.
to the death, and there's only one victor. And the idea is that there was a rebellion 74 years ago, and they started this whole thing, and it kind of keeps people entertained. It gives the districts hope, but not too much hope, which I love that idea. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that more later. And it has them, it just keeps everyone in line and entertained, and keeps them from fighting the government. Great concept for a story.
It seems like by putting people in districts, they keep certain people in poverty as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a class structure, because especially when they get to the capital,
Yeah.
like especially PETA's reaction, he's like, I've never seen anything like this. And they put so much emphasis on them eating food for the next like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
There's so much of them eating food, whereas in the beginning of the movie, she's like struggling
She's
to
excited to get bread.
She's excited to get bread, and she's like, "Oh, is this real?" When
Gail.
Gail, like Gail gives her food.
Just reminds me of Gail from Bob's Burgers.
Which one is that?
That's Linda's sister.
Oh, it makes me think of Gail from Breaking Bad.
That's a better Gail.
Yeah, but
So,
as for sorry.
well, go ahead.
Okay, just one thing. Especially because we just finished Twilight, like I'm very impressed with how the world is really thought out.
Yes.
And you can tell that Suzanne Collins, I'm sure if you read the book, you'd have even more context.
Yeah.
But something as simple as like, she's about to shoot that deer at the beginning of the movie.
Uh-huh.
And he comes up and he's like, how would you even be able to sneak that into camp? And she's like, oh, I was going to sell it to someone. And he's like, you're going to sell it to the officials? They're not going to buy that. You'll get in trouble. And you're like, oh, there's like so many implications to that statement that talk about like how this world works.
Yes.
Very cool.
It's showing, not telling. Even, I mean, obviously he's saying that, but
Yeah.
they're not like, they're not
It's not
like
like rule number one.
over-explaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about this as we were watching the movie, but a lot of shaky cam,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning. A filming style that I'm not very fond of, although I understand why they use it.
Yeah.
It's a very like personal lens
Yeah.
to see.
And it makes things feel intense.
Yes. So I think it works. Even though it's
Yeah.
not my favorite, I think it works. We were thinking that it was a little too much, though.
Yeah, I think it's I think as a whole it's too much, and I think that there's a little too much editing as well.
I agree with that. Like cuts, too many cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but I could imagine if maybe a world where, say, if they did something a little more interesting with the shaky cam, like really saving it for certain moments. Like, it would have been cool if the first part of that movie was like all dolly shots and all still shots.
See, I was just thinking about that, but I think that it's
Well,
good that. Okay.
Let me finish the thought, because I think you'll like this. Like, they all dolly shots and all that stuff, and then when they get to where they're starting the reaping, then it's like the camera comes off the dolly and it's shaky, because you'd have this like, you'd feel this natural, like, this is more intense than
See,
what I
this
saw
is my
before.
my argument against that.
Yeah.
Doing the shaky cam from early on, it's to give you a sense of uncertainty, which seems like that's their daily basis.
True.
Is waking up every morning not knowing when their next meal is.
True.
And I feel like that's a type of disorientation that they're providing. I think they just as easily could have done the dolly and it would have achieved a good, different effect too.
Yeah,
But
that's
I think
a good point.
that's a thing that I understand that they were doing.
Yeah.
But
So let's talk about the reaping.
yeah,
Um,
I appreciate that this clips along the story clips along.
Oh,
they
yeah,
do not
yeah.
spend too much time on things.
Yeah, we actually, funny enough, folks, we were watching it from from TV, AMC, and we were watching it, and I was convinced that we missed a bunch of stuff, so we got on iTunes and bought the movie.
We bought it?
No, or rented it.
Oh.
And then we were watching it, and we hadn't missed anything. So we could have just kept watching the recorded version, because we were like 20 minutes into it. But it seemed like it was moving too fast. I was actually going to compliment the movie, but I was convinced that it was wrong.
Yeah.
So then we watch it, and it's like, oh, no, they just get to the point.
Yeah.
And I love that about it. The Reaping's really cool. Elizabeth Banks shows up, and she's so drastically different than all of the like peasants.
We were talking too that a lot this district, because we didn't really see any other district.
Yeah.
Their wardrobe was very Holocaust time to me.
Yeah, the like gray and blue kind of thing.
Well, even the style.
Yeah.
From pictures that I've seen, and yeah, it just looked like they lived in a ghetto.
Yeah.
And they were wearing 40s period outfits, and everything was very washed out.
And they even say, like, there's that scene before where her mom is saying, like, I made you your best clothes. So that's like the best they could come up with is these like washed out gray, not good looking clothes, which says a lot about the world as well. The reaping scene is great. It's so good. And it's very intense when she volunteers as tribute.
Yes.
It's very emotional, and I like that the music cuts out for all of that.
Yes.
Until until PETA is drawn.
Yeah, I think so.
And his reaction is fantastic. He's so he can't believe it. And Elizabeth
He's
Banks
so
just
excited.
playing like that weird like woohoo, like can you guys believe it? You're gonna be a part of this.
Yeah.
And that's when watching it this time I'm like, oh, am I gonna like absolutely love this movie? Because this is amazing so far.
Yeah.
So they're chosen, and also I will mention Elizabeth Banks hits a microphone on stage and it does not feedback, which is fantastic.
This movie scored extra points.
Because every movie, when they grab a mic, it always goes ring, no matter if it would make sense or not for feedback to happen. And it's one of my biggest pet peeves. And if you make a movie, please don't put it in there. We get it. We know what a mic does. You don't have to like alert us to its capabilities. I also like the hand signal. I think the hand signal's cool. It's very iconic, I think.
It's interesting that they were taken immediately from their district of seeming poverty into a train that is full of luxury.
Yeah.
Something so nice that they're like, don't really know what to do when they see it.
Yeah.
And not only that, I think that they spend a good amount of time showing their shock. Like right when they get on the train. And I'll just say now that Jennifer Lawrence, not only her, but like the character of Katniss is so refreshing.
Yeah.
Because this is a young adult book, and the main character is a girl. And she is so confident, strong-willed, and like with a head on her shoulders, but she is not made to look like a bee.
Yeah.
Or someone who's like stupid for being so confident.
And it's like, not like the Black Widow from like the Phase 1 Marvel where it's like, I'm a girl and I can kick bad guys.
Nope, they don't even really comment on that kind of stuff
and
at all.
She's just there.
She's
she
there
just rolls.
and she's great.
Yeah. Hey, that's a very good point. Woody Harrelson shows up as like their mentor and he won one of the previous games. Where do we land on his performance?
I don't know. He
don't know?
doesn't look. He looks like a guy who hasn't had hair in a really long time. I hate it when people have hair and it's just in their face.
Oh yeah,
because it's not believable to me.
Oh, yeah, I don't understand that really. But
a bald guy,
as a bald guy, yeah.
He's also a bald person, and it looks like he hasn't had hair for a really long time.
Yeah, it's true.
His performance is a very Woody Harrelson performance to me. I think he's phoning it in.
Really? Okay.
Honestly, a little bit. But I don't really care.
Yeah. I think there's like a couple moments where I couldn't tell if it was him or maybe like the other actors like reacting to him. But I think by the end of the movie, I was like, yeah. And I also feel like in the coming movies, he'll probably be even better. Yeah. Like a little more lived in the role.
Yeah. Whatever.
What about Lenny Kravitz, her costume designer?
Didn't know that was Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
I've heard that name several times throughout my life and have finally discovered who this person is. Also, what kind of musician he is.
Yeah,
And it has
a rock
kind of
guitar
changed my
player
opinion on Zoe Kravitz for the
and
good.
singer.
So,
Yeah.
in terms of his performance, sure, he's fine. He's a person that exists in this movie.
Whoa. Okay.
I think a lot of it for me is I did not read the books and I did not participate in the Hunger Games culture when it was popular. That I think a lot of it I just will never understand.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah, he was good. I think that he provided comfort to her when she didn't have comfort anymore because she wasn't with her sister. So he was someone who saw her for who she was. And he provided like some of the humanity to the situation when like Woody Harrelson's job was to prepare her. So that wasn't really his job to comfort her.
Yeah.
And then Elizabeth Banks' character was just kind of like, whatever. In terms of like, she was not there to provide really anything other than a face.
Yeah. So then there's like the tribute parade, and I really like the idea of them really these people like dragging out
The contest, like until they get to the battle.
yeah, and it feels like this is like how it would be if it happened today.
Yeah.
You know, like there's like this eccentric guest or host that like talks to them all and asks them how home was and is very jovial and fun. And then, they're paraded in and they get lit on fire and stuff like that. And
that whole procession was crazy bad.
the effects. Yeah.
Which is like, what else were they? If you go back to that time, they'd do the same thing. And honestly, I probably wouldn't blame them. So it just does not age well.
Yeah, there's quite a few effects in the movie that look like they were in like Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
As far as like the landscapes behind them.
I think they were just trying to make it really, really, really big. Because
Yeah.
I feel like the only way around that would be just to bring the scale down.
Yeah.
But they were really committed to keeping it big.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if that's the world you want, I am fine.
Yeah.
It just looks kind of dumb now.
Yeah. So there's all that. Then there's and again, Stanley Tucci is amazing in that. There's the training montage. And then they start exploring the idea that they're like trying to get sponsors that will like bet on them and like send them stuff in the games.
Yeah.
Which I think that idea alone is like a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And it just feels so opposite of like, Stephenie Meyer with like, oh, here's a vampire. In this movie, they have to do this. And I guess the people of Fork don't notice these people. It just feels like this is actually thought out. And it has the Shirley Jackson lottery story kind of influence on it.
I would also, if anyone's read the series and really enjoyed it, I would highly recommend The Running Man by Stephen King.
Yeah.
Very similar in terms of themes.
Okay. You heard it here first, folks. Jordan is the Stephen King expert.
That is the Hunger Games equivalent in the Stephen King bibliography.
Yeah. Or maybe the opposite, because he wrote it first, right?
Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, when we saw the big blonde kid, big boy blonde, we were not into him. I think that he probably accomplished what he was supposed to by being like, I'm big, I have swords, I punch. Very tropey.
Yeah.
So it's like, sure, you gotta have that in a movie about physical strength. Don't really care about you. It was very laughable.
Yeah. If his haircut was different, I think it might be a different story.
That is a product of its time, I think.
He has the skateboard ramp.
Yes.
On the front of his head. He kind of like, as I'm watching the movie, I haven't seen him in anything else, but I'm like, oh, this is like a kid actor who's like a teenager now. I don't.
Yeah.
Because Jennifer Lawrence is really, really good.
Yes.
I mean, she's great in this movie. And so when you're around some of the kids, you're a little like, oh, yeah, like not everybody is her. Like she's a lot better at acting than them.
I think that Josh Hutcherson plays a really good job of like, he kind of knows his place. He
Yeah.
knows he's not the best. So he's trying to figure out non-fighting strategies to survive.
Yeah.
I think that is very interesting.
Yeah. And so let's just get to the games, right?
Yeah. When I first saw this movie, like I think all the books were out at this time, right?
I believe so, yeah.
It was either the first one or a couple of them were out. I thought that the whole series was about the Hunger Games. Like I thought all of the books were going to be about them in this fight.
I think I did too.
So yeah, when I saw this movie and it ended, I was like, whoa, what are these other movies going to be about?
Yeah.
And then I never paid attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then the games begin. And it's been a nice build-up. I feel like they do a really good job of taking their time and not trying to rush to get to the games, but also not just like having all these obligatory scenes that are just like, oh, here we go.
They all pretty much make sense. I think one of the biggest things that happens before it, like right before it, is when Peeta declares his love for Katniss.
Oh, yeah.
And her reaction is really pissed.
Yeah, which I like that.
Yeah, and she is like, he did it for people to like them. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, it seems like he does really like her.
Yeah.
But it does work. It will work for them in the future. And it's just interesting that will. That's true, that people will favor them more.
And I really like, because, again, not having remembered the specifics of the movie, I was kind of like, I'm not looking forward to, like, the love in the series. But the way it's presented in this movie and is really interesting, actually, because it's a political like play, and it's like a survival play.
You know what I was just thinking of? How kind of this movie so far, this first movie is very similar to Snowpiercer in this way. There's no rules set up. Obviously, Snowpiercer is not about people fighting to the death for ratings, but in that, like, the Snowpiercer, the story is linear in terms of physically they're linear, like going through a line up to the beginning, and it's like districts going up through the districts, and everything's getting progressively better throughout that.
Yeah.
Random thought of the episode.
So then we get lifted up into the games, the big moment, and there's all these like weapons in this center area, and Woody Harrelson warns her that's a bloodbath, don't go over there.
And he was right.
Yeah,
there's a lot of blood in this movie.
I know, it's like pretty violent.
And children getting killed.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like cool that they allowed, like, the MPAA didn't make them, makes them. I mean, it's not like an insane amount of blood. It makes sense PG-13
but you're seeing
wise,
children
but
being murdered.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it so strange. And seeing blood is always kind of weird in a PG-13
and not
movie.
super bright red blood.
Yeah,
like you're seeing blood the color that it is.
Yeah, but it's kind of graphic. And it feels pretty intense. And I think this part, the shaky cam and the editing work the best.
Yes.
Because it's so disorienting and it's like really shaky, and it really shows you like what Jennifer Lawrence is going through in this sequence.
I don't know what it was like in the book in terms of description, but the outfits are like cool, man. They're basically just wearing rain jackets.
Yeah.
Because if they wanted to, because of Hollywood, they could have gone sexist.
I know.
Like they could have shown womanly figures and like guy muscles.
And I'm glad that they recognize that this is about children.
Yes.
And also that is almost always a sexist thing to do.
Yes.
So maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Because they just look like normal kids.
Right.
So, the games begin. Throughout the games, she is just like avoiding people. And that's her strategy. And there's a lot of just cool stuff like the control room. I like the control room and seeing them behind the scenes, like, oh, she's too far this way. Let's start a forest fire to push her back in so that she'll get in a fight.
Also thought it was really interesting when they said that most people die from exposure.
Yeah.
Rather than actually being killed. Yeah.
There's like the cannons that go off anytime someone dies, and like the news report that happens. That's interesting. There's cameras everywhere. And then there's she gets treed basically like an animal.
Yeah.
In the movie. And there are these like yellow jackets called tracker jackers.
Yeah.
And
they're genetically modified wasps.
Yeah, and they can like make you hallucinate
or die.
Kill you.
Yeah.
And she like saws off this branch because this other kid points it out to her, and it hits where these people have treated her at, and one person gets killed by it. And
like gross.
Yeah, she looks all bumpy and stuff, and Jennifer Lawrence has been stung a few times.
I like the hallucinating sequence.
Thought it was very cool looking. Yeah.
I liked when it would cut to her face and it would be like jagged. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
like
and
the
like sometimes
skipping.
replaying the like what she already just did.
Yeah.
like in a couple of frames.
Yeah, and I really liked it. It was a really good job.
Yeah, it was very, very cool.
And then when PETA found her and was like, you need to run now, and she hallucinated to seeing her mother. Because
Yeah.
remember, before she left, very interesting. So
Yeah.
she's saying goodbye to her sister, and then she goes to her mom, and she was like, "Listen to me, you will not go mute. Like you will not be silent, because it's revealed to you that when her dad died, her mom stopped being a person. Like she
Yeah.
stopped being a mom.
Yeah.
So then you learn also she raised her sister. Her mom didn't really seem like she was present, even though physically she was present.
Yeah.
So she was saying like, you will not be weak.
Yeah.
And it was just like so descriptive of that family dynamic.
It's all we needed to know.
That's all we need to know, and it happened within 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's her hallucinating, her telling her, like her trying to get her mom to see her.
Yeah.
And you even see before that her dad going down to the coal mines, like him and a group of other men who all of their faces became her dad's face, all of them
Yeah.
dying. And that explosion sequence is very cool too.
They do the reverse thing, which is always fun.
Yeah.
So she befriends someone from District 11, and that kid gets killed
Rue.
a little bit late. Rue. Okay. That's Rue. Okay. That's the controversial Rue. It made such a big difference that she was not white. Oh, brother. It's great. Did that sound weird?
No, I just think it's sometimes kind of weird that even in a book you would have to say what race someone is.
Yeah. You could also
Like she probably didn't. I mean, I've not read the books, but like it's possible that she didn't even say what race this girl was.
Yeah, and people are like, well, that means she's white.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she gets killed, and in District 11, like the actual district, they start a riot because they're so upset at like what's going on and the fact that Katniss has helped this young girl and like puts all these flowers around her and like treats her like a human instead of an animal that she's hunting. And then when you see that riot happen, and you've seen all this behind the scenes stuff with Donald Sutherland
Yes.
and Wes Bentley, and you're like, oh, I could see where this series could go.
Yes,
Because this is
absolutely.
very interesting.
Yeah.
And like Donald Sutherland's whole speech where he's like, you can give them a little hope is good, but a lot of hope is dangerous.
And then when he said, "Have you ever been to the districts 10, 11, 12?" And Wes says, "Not personally, no." And he's like, "If you did, you would find that you wouldn't like relate to any of those people, or you wouldn't want
I don't
to.
even
You
remember
wouldn't
that.
want to."
Yeah.
He says something like that, like almost like you wish you wouldn't have been there.
oh,
Yeah. Very cold.
yeah. So all of that is very interesting, and you kind of can see where the series could go, but it doesn't feel like they're trying to set up more movies. You know?
Yeah. It still feels self-contained to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have the whole thing where she finds PETA, who has an amazing ability to blend into trees. Like, so insane.
We were just kind of like, whoa.
And they go into this cave.
He's terribly hurt, like bone sticking out of him.
Yeah,
Hurt.
and they get a sponsor, they get some medicine, and then there's this whole thing where like they change the rule to 2 people can win as long as they're in the same district because they want to like give people hope because there was this riot. So they're helping them out, and then Woody Harrelson sends a message like, "You call that a kiss?" Because she had kissed him on the cheek, and so like this love thing is all a show, at least for Katniss, which I think really interesting, a lot to dive into there.
Which I'm sure will be explored in the next movie.
Yeah.
Because it is it's shown in this movie that Gale has feelings for her.
Yeah,
I didn't really get a sense from her,
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it either way.
but he definitely like it would cut to him
Yeah.
watching and definitely feeling bad.
Yeah. So then they change the rules. Then there's the big like fight. There's these weird bat dogs that attack them.
Human face dog things.
Yeah, and I remember those effects being horrible, and they're not the best, but they actually weren't horrible. I think for the time they were fine.
Yeah.
They're not going to age well, and if I had adapted it, I would have made it a different threat that that didn't have to be CG'd as much. And so they both win, and then they're like, actually, we've changed the rules. You guys have to kill each other. So they have these poison berries, and they're about to eat them both. And they're like, okay, 3, 2, 1. And then they go, stop. Okay, you both win.
Yeah.
Very cool. Nice little twist. There's enough of those like little twists that you're like, oh, okay, this isn't just like our main character wins.
Yeah.
There's
And
enough extra.
what's great, which I know they will explore later on, is like, we don't know what the life of a winner is like. We see that Woody Harrelson is like definitely has a cushy lifestyle, but I don't remember what district he's from, or even if they say.
I don't think that they said.
So like maybe he's from a higher one, so whatever.
Yeah.
But they're from the lowest one.
Yeah.
So how does that affect them? And then Woody Harrelson says to her like, they're not happy about what you did
Yeah. Yeah.
because you like showed the upper hand. So it's like, oh, how do they respond by not being happy with someone?
Yeah.
Especially from the lowest caste system.
Yeah, very, very cool. And then the movie, one of the ending things is that Wes Bentley, who's like been the leader of the games, walks into this room and there's just a bowl with the poison berries in it and the room is locked. I think that's so cool.
What does that mean though?
That Donald Sutherland put them there so that he would kill himself.
Okay. I'm just making sure if that's it or not something else.
Yeah, because I thought he was going to walk into the room, Donald Sutherland like shoot him or something.
Yeah.
But having the boulder is so much more poetic.
Yeah.
And like it feels more like, oh, this is like an epic like story about kings. I guess it feels like old in a very interesting way. And when I saw that, I was like impressed that the movie would trust a teen audience that much to like figure that out. Because I know it's not like that crazy to figure out, but it's just like, oh, they didn't like hold their hands. There wasn't a scene where he was like, I had Mr. Bentley eat the poison berries. They just did it.
I would say the subject matter is much darker than typical young adult stuff.
Yeah.
There is some like dark young adult stuff that I have read as a young adult.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you think of young adult, a lot of times we think of Twilight type things that are just brainless romance novels. But there is a subgenre of young adult that takes on real issues.
Yeah.
I mean, another like one of the classics is The Giver.
Yeah.
Which
is that about?
It's I read it a long time ago, but I believe it's like I think it's similar dystopian future, and I don't think you have senses. Like I don't think you have the sense of feeling or tasting or smelling. Like you're deprived of certain things.
Okay.
And sorry, I'm sure so many people who listen to this have read this book because it's like so famous. But I believe that this kid is given some of these things.
Okay.
So it's like the implications of something so simple.
Yeah.
So this I think falls under that too.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that like Divergent does the same things. The Maze Runner does similar themes.
Yeah.
Obviously not all of them can be good. But it's like this one definitely takes on some very big issues. Mm-hmm. And it seems to not cater to the reader.
No. So I think it's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I liked it. Do you have anything else you want to say about the movie?
No. I think I've talked too much.
I think I've talked too much.
I think people are going to be bored with this one.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Baby, this is like the huge.
Okay.
We're killing it. It's long, but it's not that much longer than a long episode. So to wrap up, folks, patreon.com/Micah McCaw. Join in. If you join, you can get your monthly exclusive McCaw Podcast Universe episode. You can also get access to my music and stuff like that, depending on which tier. We have reached our goal of 10 patrons. So if you get on now, we're probably still doing a bracket to figure out which series the patrons are going to choose. So if you want to be a part of that, jump on the Patreon and sign up. So our next series might not be what we had regularly scheduled. It might be the Patreon exclusive. And then finally, we have our 1-year episode coming up. And if you would like if you want to maybe send us like anything that you've liked about the show or stuff like that, we'll either read it. We won't read it. You'd have to send it to us recorded and we'll play it at the end of the episode. If you have any fun thoughts about the show or anything like that. Anyway, see you guys next week when we go and catch some fire. Huh?
Bye.